As a high draft pick, just outside that top 10 there, what are the expectations for Nix now in Denver?
Well, honey, you mentioned all the quarterbacks they've had since Peyton Manning, and it was the same cycle and same situation after John Elway retired, where they went through any number of quarterbacks before they landed on Peyton Manning. So obviously they need somebody to step forward to stop the change. And I think that this team is hopeful and optimistic that in the long run, that's going to be Bo Nix, their first-round pick this past year. Now, this team was enamored with Nix. It had a grade on him that was equivalent to the top quarterbacks in this draft. This team was targeting Bo Nix from the outset, had identified him as somebody that could come in, learn their offense, execute it. And if we think back to all the traits that Sean Payton admired in Bill Parcells, one thing he loved was the fact that he liked quarterbacks with experience. Bo Nix started 65 games in college. So he comes in ready to win that job. We'll see if he can do that this summer, but it is set up for him to take over at some point sooner rather than later, with Bo Nix being given the chance to be the Broncos quarterback of the future and stop that list of quarterbacks on that carousel.
Yeah, you know, with Bo Nix, I'm going to be intrigued about where this goes. Of all the quarterbacks that were picked in the first round, for me, he was the least talented of all of them. And I think that if you're Sean Payton and you're the Denver Broncos organization, I think you fell in love with the fact that you gave Bo Nix the playbook one night and the next morning he could recite the playbook forward and backwards. So we know he's super smart. We know he's experienced. Well, you know, Bill Parcells said he wanted a quarterback, I think, that had over 10,000 plays or something like that, a ton of experience. But here's the key. When you step in the National Football League, can you execute this offense? A lot of people compare Bo Nix to Drew Brees. I'm not going to do that. Drew Brees is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Can Bo Nix come in and execute and be a ball distributor? At Oregon, we saw him improve from Auburn to Oregon. At Oregon, he threw the football short to intermediate with the best of them. In the National Football League, you can't dink and dunk on anymore. You got to be able to push the football down the field and be accurate with the football. And so I think the jury's still out on Bo Nix. For me, he was the least talented of all the quarterbacks taken in the first round. I'm going to give Sean Payton the benefit of the doubt, but I'm very intrigued to see where Bo Nix and this offense and this experience that he got at Auburn and Oregon take him.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when we discuss quarterbacks how the modern day discussion always turns to what ultimately is the upside of the quarterback from an athletic profile, from an arm strength profile, from an off-schedule profile. How many dramatic plays can a guy make? Can he throw the football sidearms 50 yards on a rope down the field and make the play that makes everybody in the crowd go, ooh? If a guy can do that, we give him the benefit of the doubt much more so than we give the guy who plays a more cerebral game, maybe isn't as talented physically, maybe doesn't have the same yards per attempt, but makes good decisions, is accurate with the football, doesn't turn it over to the tune of maybe 45 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, completes close to 80% of his passes at about 9 yards per attempt, that kind of clip. That's what Bo Nix did at Oregon. That's the kind of passer Drew Brees was in the NFL. No one mistakes Drew Brees for being one of the better athletes at the quarterback position in the history of the game, or someone who had this super high ceiling because he had a Josh Allen arm or had the flair of Patrick Mahomes. I think personally, that's exactly what Sean Payton wants. He wants a guy that's going to run his system. He wants a guy who's going to make great decisions, who's not going to turn it over, isn't going to go out there coming off the sideline going, hey man, I just saw something and went for it. No, he doesn't want that. He wants Bo Nix. And he got him. Let's see what he does with it.
Exactly. I feel I'm a little bummed. I'm happy that he said all that. I'm a little bummed because he just took everything that I was going to say because they weren't saying that. But yes, I'm so happy he said that because that's what I've been saying. If you watch any of my previous Bo Nix videos, that's exactly what I've been saying, is that we are so obsessed with the shiny new things that, you know, that they have a cannon that can throw 100 yards down the field, or that they can, you know, in the air, or that they are the fastest quarterback, or that they can throw sidearm, that they could do all this crazy stuff. We equate that with greatness, with what, you know, what it means to be a great quarterback or a great prospect. And we've lost sight that, don't get me wrong, those things are great, and obviously they're very exciting to watch, but we lost sight of what it means to also just to be able to successfully execute the offense. And right now we have a perfect example of that, and that's in Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy executes the offense flawlessly with the 49ers, and yet nobody thinks he's good because they have some great weapons around him and a great coach. But not everyone can do that. You can't just put up a backup quarterback in that offense and expect them to run it. And that's why these great coaches, like a Shanahan, like a McVay, like a Peyton, some of them really love to have, I think they want robot quarterbacks. They want them to just execute the offense exactly as written, as planned, as practiced, as rehearsed, right? Stay on script. Yes, you have to be able to go off script sometimes, without a doubt, right? You can't just do that, be with the organized plays. But the thing is that sometimes these quarterbacks, and this was the whole thing with Russ, it was like, let Russ cook. I just want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to be, a little bit more freestyle. And when you have a coach like Sean Payton, he's like, I am the football genius. I am the offensive mind. If you just follow what I'm telling you to do, we will win games. You have to just trust me. But the really superstar athletes, or the guys that have really big egos, they're like, nah. I got this. I can do things that you've never seen. And another great example of this is Micah Parsons. I know a different position, but recently he was talking about his new defensive coordinator, and he goes, yeah, I know he's coached some pretty good guys, but he's never coached a guy like Micah. And it's just like, oh my God, like, what are you talking about? Where's the humility? You can still learn so much from these coaches. The fact that you think you already know everything, or that you are just that next level special, that they should only be grateful to have you and not vice versa, is insane. And we see quarterbacks do that. Maybe not as extreme as that, but we see that. We really, really do. And that is such the rift between Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, and why someone like Sean Payton got so along with Drew Brees. He wants a robot quarterback. Shanahan wanted Kirk Cousins. No question about it. He did not want Trey Lance. He's been dying to have the quarterback like Kirk Cousins, because he knows Kirk Cousins will just do what he's told to do. He will minimize mistakes, and he will execute the offense exactly as rehearsed and designed. And if you do that, then you can win those games, right? It's just do A, B, C, D, E. Stop going around here. Stop going around there. Just follow it. A, B, C, D, E, F. Just follow it. And again, not all quarterbacks want to do that. It's essentially what Patrick Mahomes had to do this past season to win the Super Bowl, right? He had to really buy in over the years into what Andy Reid was preaching. It was like, yes, I know you can do these amazing things, but we can't do those amazing things all day, every single game, every single drive. It doesn't work that way. When they ask Patrick Mahomes to do less, they win more. And that's what they're asking to do with Bo Nix. They just need someone that they know that they can trust. And that's why someone like a Sean Payton wants a quarterback with experience. Because he doesn't want to have to go over the fundamentals. He doesn't want to have to do all these basic things. He wants someone that he knows that he can trust sooner rather than later. Someone who's kind of proven themselves and has a longer track record. And I think that is what you're going to get out with Bo Nix. Will you watch a game with Bo Nix and be like, oh my God, I can't believe what I just saw. I got to call my dad. Did you just see that game? Did you just see what Bo Nix did? You're probably not going to have a lot of moments like that. But truthfully, neither did Drew Brees, neither did Tom Brady, and currently, neither does necessarily Brock Purdy. And it works pretty darn well for all of those quarterbacks. Right now, people just think that unless you are barreling over people like Josh Allen, or ripping off a 60-yard run like Lamar Jackson, or throwing a sidearm fadeaway throw for 30 yards like Patrick Mahomes, you're just garbage, apparently. You're just not good. You're a bust. You're trash. Like, that's what it's become. Yeah, he's not good. Yeah, right. Did you see what he did in Auburn? That's what I love when people say that. It's like, okay, I don't care what the dude did when he was 19 years old. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. People learn and grow and evolve as a quarterback. It's obvious that Bo Nix is a darn good quarterback, and I think he can have a lot of success in the NFL. And I really do believe what Adam Schefter said with the Broncos and Sean Payton, and what they believe Bo Nix is, who Bo Nix is. He's the exact quarterback what they want, and it's so interesting. We've seen the pendulum swing a lot. Right? We saw everybody was all about the statue quarterbacks. Then everybody was all about the running quarterbacks. And then they were about these hybrids. And it wouldn't surprise me if we kind of now start to swing back over to just a quarterback that just does what's asked of him. They just do what's asked of them. They stop trying to just do all the magical, crazy stuff. Everybody stops trying to be the next Patrick Mahomes, and they just play solid, fundamental football. And they just follow what their coach, their offensive coordinator, their QB coach, whoever tells them what to do. They just go through the progressions and they just stick to the game plan. And I really think you're going to see a swing of that. I really think you're going to see more quarterbacks like that, which is why we saw the McCarthy, the J.J. McCarthy, the Bo Nixes of the world get drafted. We saw that. Drake May. That's who those quarterbacks more likely, more often than not are. And we see the problems with some of these other more fancy shine. We saw that kind of with Dak Prescott. When Dak Prescott bought into McCarthy, and I've criticized Dak Prescott plenty, and I've criticized even his stats recently in McCarthy, but you should hear, Dak Prescott, I think, is a very humble guy, and he bought into McCarthy and said, I can't believe how easy it is to play quarterback. I don't know how people ever did this without doing what Mike McCarthy has kind of set up. It simplified the game. And when Dak tried to get off script, things kind of went haywire. But when he was able to stay on script with McCarthy, the dude looked elite, right? He looked like a Hall of Fame quarterback. He was playing unbelievable. I think that's what you can get with Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix can become Kirk Cousins, which is a compliment. Kirk Cousins is a really good to great quarterback. He really is. And I really believe that if Kirk Cousins was Shanahan, they would have won Super Bowls, especially instead of Garoppolo. No ifs, ands, or buts. Not a single doubt in my mind. So that's not a knock. Kirk Cousins gets way too much hate. Or Jared Goff. He's not a big, shiny, fancy toy and does all the crazy stuff. He's been to a Super Bowl. He went to the NFC Championship game. Quite frankly, he should have gone to another Super Bowl. And I think they probably would have beaten the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. He wasn't the reason why they lost. So I think that's where Bo Nix can kind of land in that regard. So yeah, if you're a Denver Broncos fan, you should be really excited about that. Because I'd rather have a quarterback that I know is going to execute the offense every single Sunday, every single week, rather than have a quarterback who can do some crazy stuff, but I just do not know what I'm going to get. That's when you get really inconsistent quarterback play. And then that's when you kind of have those moments where the floor falls from underneath them come time playoffs, right? They get out schemed. They get too nervous. Their freestyle play doesn't work in that moment because they are playing better teams. They are playing up against a better coach. And you see it all the time. We've seen it kind of happen to a Lamar Jackson. We see it happen to a Josh Allen, right? We see that happen. It just doesn't work. We saw it happen to Jalen Hurts. He was injured, and I've also made plenty of excuses for him last season. But it's part of it. At least last season against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So it's all things that happen. But then when you have a quarterback who follows the script, you can have someone like Daniel Jones of the New York Giants getting to the playoffs and winning a playoff game. So it works. We know it works. And it works especially when you have a top-level coach. It may not be able to work all the time when you don't have a top-level coach. When you just have an okay, good, average coach, like maybe a Mike McCarthy. Then your ceiling may not be a Super Bowl. But when you have Sean Peyton, we know for a fact the ceiling is a literal Super Bowl and leading a quarterback to a Hall of Fame career. We don't have to guess. We know for a fact. So, hey, it's really exciting to see what Bo Nix will become. And I think he will have a tremendous amount of success in the NFL. And I definitely don't think the NFL will be too big for him or the moment will be too big for him. And that also matters too. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? What do you think the expectations are for Bo Nix? And how quickly do you think he will get going for the Denver Broncos? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.